I went out and I rented a rototiller, which I thought was a thing about like so. It turned out to be 7 feet long. Big motor.
For decades, America believed Michael Landon was the purest symbol of goodness. On screen, he felt like the perfect father, the gentle teacher, the man who brought comfort to millions through shows like Little House on the Prairie, Bonanza, and later Highway to Heaven. His smile glowed across magazine covers, and his voice carried the warmth of a man who seemed incapable of darkness. But behind that carefully polished image was a life built on secrets, smoke, loneliness, and shadows that the public never imagined. And after nearly 40 years of silence, his son, Michael Landon Jr., finally revealed what was really happening behind the doors of the beautiful homes in Beverly Hills and Malibu, where his father's legend was crafted. In an interview that shook Hollywood, he uttered one sentence that froze the room. "They praised my father for his kindness, but deceit is what kept him alive." That single line shattered the myth of America's perfect dad and exposed a truth hidden for decades. Between 1978 and 1983, the young Michael Landon Jr. lived inside the famous Landon House, a place the public imagined as warm and joyful. But behind those walls, the rooms were bright yet cold, filled with crooked picture frames and meals eaten in silence. He remembered nights when his father vanished without explanation, leaving the family to pretend everything was fine. He remembered birthdays when the cake sat untouched because Michael Landon never came home on time. On his 1980 birthday, the candles melted down, the frosting softened, and still the door didn't open. His mother tried to smile as tears slipped into her wine glass. Near midnight, Michael Landon finally walked in, smelling of a strange cologne, patted his son's shoulder, whispered "Happy birthday, champ," and walked upstairs. No gift, no hug, no moment. At that age, his son thought he was just tired. Years later, he learned the truth. His father was living a life far away from the one the world believed, while America worshipped him as the ultimate family man. On the set of Little House on the Prairie, whispers spread quietly backstage at NBC. Rumors suggested that Michael Landon was far closer to his young photographer Eli Rosen than he ever let the world see. Crew members noticed the bond, the shared meals, the private conversations, and the way they slipped away together after filming. During a filming trip in Utah in 1979, a hotel staff member spotted them leaving early in the morning wearing matching bathrobes. Someone reported it, and within days, NBC scrambled to patch the image of their golden star. Their solution came in the form of Cindy Clarico, the 18-year-old makeup artist who suddenly became Landon's public love interest. Hand-in-hand photos appeared in Variety, and the public accepted the story because it was easier to believe. But in the shadows, Michael Landon Jr. saw a different truth. He kissed her like he was proving something, not like he was in love. And when Cindy Clarico became pregnant in late 1982, the media promoted it as the rebirth of a Hollywood romance. But the son overheard something that made his stomach drop. His father whispering into the phone, "Don't call again. We can't keep doing this." He didn't hear who was on the other end, but he knew the voice wasn't Cindy's. Still, on Valentine's Day 1983, the rushed wedding was held on a white beach in Malibu. Journalists celebrated the event as a story of redemption. But in his diary, Michael Landon Jr. wrote one heartbreaking sentence. He didn't marry for love. He married out of fear. Fear that the truth was getting too close. After leaving his wife Lynn No, Michael Landon moved into a large Malibu mansion, a stunning home overlooking the waves. But the luxury only hid the emptiness inside. Nights there smelled of scotch, cigarettes, and something sweet and chemical. Delivery men arrived with black bags and metal cases, leaving without a word. Once, out of curiosity, young Michael opened one and realized instantly that his father wasn't telling the truth about what he was doing. One night he found Michael Landon in his dimly lit office, gray powder spread across a glass tray. Landon brushed it together, inhaled deeply, and didn't flinch when his son saw him. "Adult stuff. Never touch it," he muttered. Then he turned away as if the moment meant nothing. The mansion soon filled with strangers, men in dark suits, women who looked like nightclub ghosts, people who arrived after midnight and left before sunrise. Some whispered that this was a quiet underground circle in Hollywood, using small film projects for money laundering and shady investments. Michael Landon's clean public face made him the perfect shield. From the staircase, his son would watch, His father laughed loudly, drank heavily, and slipped into the arms of strangers. One night, through the smoke, he saw his father kiss someone, but the hands weren't a woman's. That moment carved itself into the teenage boy's memory forever. During the rare sober mornings, Michael Landon seemed like a stranger trapped inside his own skin, a man who no longer recognized the face staring back at him in the mirror. His son remembered one quiet morning when Michael sat alone on the back steps of the Malibu mansion, staring at the wide, endless ocean. The waves crashed rhythmically against the shore, but he didn't look peaceful. He looked haunted. Without turning his head, he whispered, "Do you hear the waves? I hear them even when my eyes are closed." In that moment, his son realized his father wasn't listening to nature. He was listening to the echoes of a life that was slipping away from him, a life he no longer knew how to control. By 1986, the decline accelerated. Michael Landon barely slept. He paced through the house at all hours, muttering under his breath, convinced the walls were listening. Some nights, the glow of burning paper filled the office as he tossed old photographs from Bonanza and Little House on the Prairie into a metal bin, whispering, "So they'll have nothing to use against me." Outside, neighbors noticed unmarked cars creeping in and out at strange hours. NBC kept quiet, but insiders knew the truth. Their star was unraveling. "I didn't lose him when he died," Michael Landon Jr. later said. "I lost him in those nights, long before the world ever suspected a thing." At the NBC lot, the famous father everyone adored on screen became unpredictable behind the camera. One day he arrived laughing and energized. The next day he stormed onto the set with a drink in hand, shaking with anger. His iconic travel mug, the one fans assumed was full of coffee, often contained whiskey strong enough to smell across the room. He would snap at crew members, smash equipment worth thousands, and demand impossible perfection. On some days he hugged Melissa Gilbert, calling her my sunshine, and on others he barked at young actresses for tiny errors. When Cindy Clarico joined the set as his personal makeup artist, favoritism took over, causing tension among the cast and crew. When Michael Landon Jr. visited the set, he stood among people who called his father Pa, yet Landon barely acknowledged his own son, offering only a nod before turning back to his crew. The boy stood there realizing that the man America adored wasn't the man he knew. By the final season of Little House on the Prairie, even the writers confessed they no longer recognized him, saying the spotlight had burned his true self to ash. As Highway to Heaven soared in popularity, Michael Landon stepped deeper into the world of politics, fundraisers, and powerful gatherings in places like the Beverly Hills Hotel and events across Washington. He gave speeches about faith, family, and American values, but behind closed doors, darker deals unfolded. According to his former aide, Richard Halper, Landon wasn't just attending these events, he was negotiating. Donors and companies with questionable backgrounds used his clean, family man image to move money through educational or family-based film projects. Millions shifted through channels disguised by Landon's reputation. On one trip, Michael Landon Jr. overheard his father speaking on the phone with a man whose accent suggested coastal connections. "Let them think I'm doing it for family," his father murmured. As long as the transfers land in the right place, those words never left the son's memory. By the late 1980s, Landon even considered running for a political position and launching a youth film foundation backed by energy sector donors. But whispers of his private life returned stronger than ever. Hollywood can forgive mistakes, scandals, even betrayal, but it never forgives hypocrisy. Then, in 1991, the world learned that Michael Landon was seriously ill. The public mourned instantly, seeing him as a fallen hero. But within Hollywood, cold whispers spread that this was the cost of living a double life. In his final television appearance, he wore his familiar smile, but his eyes were hollow, performing one last time for a camera that had taken everything from him. When he passed away, millions wept, but Michael Landon Jr. did not. He simply stared at his father's portrait and whispered, "Finally, he's at peace today." At over 60, Michael Landon Jr. speaks without anger, only truth. When he rewatches Little House on the Prairie, the smile that once inspired millions now feels haunting. "I thought he was the strongest man alive," he admits, but maybe he was simply the loneliest. His final words cut the deepest. "My father wanted to be loved, but he never learned how to love." The world still honors the legend of Michael Landon, but the truth tells a different story. If this moved you, like the video, share your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.